Hello, everybody. My name is Jillian Barbie, and this is the presentation for my final project. I chose the movie called Beat the Drum. So this is my Wakelet. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So we have a cover image, and this is just a really great image that I found from the movie. This is the little boy. His name is Musa. And he is coming from his village in South Africa to a bigger city. And I'll talk a little bit more about the storyline further down in the presentation. So this movie is very much a coming of age film, and it's about his journey to find basically the cure for this mysterious disease that is killing people in his village. This village is very, not run down, but I would say they are poorer, and they are living in like mud huts, and they're very close to one of the biggest cities in South Africa, which you see in the background of my webpage. So he gets to go to this city and ends up kind of getting into some trouble with this group of people. He meets this girl that he befriends, and she kind of shows him how to make money. But he decides not to steal things. He just decides to wash people's windows and makes money. He ends up becoming really good friends with this older gentleman that kind of becomes like a father figure to him. And in the end, he gets a better understanding about this disease, which ends up being AIDS, that is killing the people in his village. And it's just, in the end, it's this very uplifting story about people coming to terms with AIDS and realizing that it's not this thing that we can't talk about. It's not something that's super contagious. And they kind of learn how to prevent it and what ways to do that. And so the first thing I did was really research AIDS in South Africa because it was such a relevant topic in the movie. I found a really good article that gives a lot of great information about it. One of the most interesting statistics I found was here highlighted in bold. It says in 2018 there were 240,000 new HIV infections and 71,000 South Africans died from AIDS-related illnesses. In the movie, right off the bat, this is a very present topic, and his mother died. The main character, Mess's mother, died, and then you see his father die in the movie because of this disease. But in the village, they don't understand that it's this medical problem. They think it's like a curse on their town. And the article talked a little bit about that as well, about how, as we get more educated on it and allow those people to get more educated, it allows them to be able to understand, why this is happening and how they can prevent it in very practical ways. And it's kind of surprising in the movie that it's chosen to do this through such a young boy and this very serious topic. It's kind of like a juxtaposition of a very innocent little boy with a very serious disease. So moving right along, I found a really cool tweet from Lancet Global Health, and they identified the University of Cape Town, which is in South Africa, as the most influential research institution in the HIV/AIDS field. I thought that was awesome considering most of the other schools on this list, as you can see, are from the United States, but since AIDS and HIV is such a relevant topic in South Africa and so many people are affected by it, it's so great to see that the hub of research is in that area. And so that was just kind of nice to see. This tweet was just from this week. And the movie was filmed, I believe, in 2003. I could look back and check, but I believe at least 10 years ago. Probably 15, but I'll say at least 10. And so now, after all that time, people have become a lot more knowledgeable about AIDS and what they can do to prevent it. So yeah, I was really happy to see that tweet. And the Global Health Twitter page had a lot of really other good information about AIDS and more tweets that I could have put on here, but I just chose that one because it was the most relevant. Looking more specifically at the movie, I thought one of the coolest things about the movie was, number one, the title, and the fact that this little boy always had this drum carried close to him was really special to me, because his father passed away, and it was his father's last thing to give to him. And the symbol of the drum was really, really, it was subtle in the movie, but once I thought about the whole movie, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because, the saying, like, if you beat the drum for something, that means, like, you're calling attention to it. You are raising awareness for this issue. And Musa, I've been pronouncing his name wrong. I'm sorry. His name is Musa, is raising awareness for AIDS in this movie without really even knowing it. And it's not like you see him in the movie, banging on this drum, warning people about this scary disease, but he's just very subtly and very kindly asking questions and just being really persistent because he wants to do what's best for his own community. So I thought that was really, really cool to see such a strong symbol come from the movie and also be played out in the title. This movie didn't have a lot of good critic reviews. I did find one from a website called DVD Talk. It was very, I don't know, I didn't love the review, and it just had a lot of like extra information that was kind of irrelevant, but I did agree with the fact that he loved the visuals, and I thought, I've never even been outside the country, so just to see all the great scenery from Africa and then the comparison between like the city and the village was such a stark contrast, but it was married together very cohesively by the use of like, I'm sure they used some kind of filtering or whatever to kind of give it all a very consistent tone. I also agreed with his review that he thought the best character in the movie was the older man that Mesa ended up befriending. His name is Nob, I believe. I believe that was his name. His casting was done really well. His character development was really awesome because, one of the very first interactions you get of him is he is literally like having sex with a prostitute. And so that was really like jarring to me. I like wasn't expecting to see that. I guess I should have been expecting it, but I just wasn't. And then like after that, I initially didn't really like him that much because I was like, oh, that's gross, whatever. But throughout the movie, you really begin to see who he truly is, and he does have a good heart, and he has a heart for the main character, Mesa, and so you really do you develop a relationship with him, and you really get to empathize more with him than with Mesa, because Mesa is very, like, I don't know, he was very distant looking in the movie, like, he would show emotion sometimes, but I guess since he was such a young kid, it was harder for him to, like, show those emotions. He did a great job, but I definitely like Nob's character better. Let's see. DVD Talk also talked about how preachy the movie could get, and I kind of agree with that, but since it was trying to be very educational about AIDS, I totally understand it. And DVD Talk also disagreed with their use of the underlying storyline, or the minor storyline of the white man having AIDS that died. I don't know. I think it was necessary because the movie did want to be educational. So I think that DVD Talk was kind of like, I don't know, it was just kind of unnecessary for him to throw that out there, but I liked it. I thought it was a really important part to the movie. Okay, so the last and probably the most interesting thing I found, the most unique thing I found, was this curriculum guide for the movie itself. This really awesome, I think they're awesome, I've never seen them before this moment, called Journeys in Film, has put together all kinds of curriculum with educational movies, and Beat the Drum was one of them. And I put my email in and downloaded it, and it was really, really, really cool. They literally lay out for teachers this whole curriculum guide on how to use this movie in an educational setting to educate people about AIDS, and not only educate them about AIDS, but to use it in America to educate about issues around the world. And I think that was really cool because that's literally what this class is for that we're in. And so I read through the curriculum, and it had some really good information in it, and I'll read just a little part of it. Okay, so not only did the movie pick up 27 international awards, but it has also become the vehicle for education outreach programs on AIDS awareness and prevention in several African countries. Since 2004, the organization Heart for Africa has engaged in Beat the Drum outreach. They send teams of volunteers, largely American university students, into high schools to educate the students about HIV and AIDS and to encourage them to commit to abstinence until marriage. They begin the week showing the movie and continue through the week with lessons based on the movie. And so that, I don't know, that was just really cool to me, really different than all the other links that I included. So I think that that would be really cool to do with a bunch of other films in this movie. You know, there's so many great issues that we discussed throughout this semester, including HIV and AIDS. So yeah, that is pretty much my entire Wakelet. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But I really enjoyed this movie, and I think the cinematography with the whole film was put together really beautifully. It had a really happy ending, which I was really happy about because so many of these movies have had such tragic endings. So I was happy to see something a little more, I hate to say lighthearted because AIDS isn't very lighthearted, but it did have an uplifting and hopeful message. That's the main thing. It was very hopeful, and as I found through my research, there is hope for this issue, and that was really great to read about. So thank you for everything in this class, and I hope that you enjoy my presentation. Bye!